Good morning. How is everybody doing? I'm excited to have my wonderful husband, Ambassador Joseph Trujillo, here with me this morning.
Good morning.
It's a privilege, and the reason that he's helping me is you can probably hear there's something going on, and I'm just trying to get over some things, and so he's gonna jump in and help me as my voice comes and goes. But I'm super excited to be here with you this morning. There's so much that we have to share. And right now, we are really excited to share the garden. And the garden is such an amazing, beautiful place. I know that, wherever you're at, right now, Colorado is in a deep freeze. And
It's
actually,
cold.
it's very cold.
Very cold.
And they said that yesterday we were colder than Antarctica. And so it's been very cold here. And then this is why we're going through all of this congestion and stuff, but it's okay. And so, we in a garden is such a beautiful place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful. There you can have a garden of fruits and vegetables. You can have a flower garden. There's different gardens. And one of the things that really stuck out to us was how the garden really is a part of who we really are, right? It's a part of who we are. And inside of us is a garden. And so I just want to start off right now by just thanking you for being on and for allowing us to come in and share this with you.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is, if you could design a garden that looked the way you want your life to feel, what would it look like? What would your garden look like?
Right.
If you could design something specifically, what would your garden look like?
Mine would be very detailed, because I love all the different types of fruits and vegetables from around the world.
Right.
Things that we don't get here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be very large. It would be very large.
Right. So a garden, what would it look like? What would your design? I love how our Father, our King, designed, the first thing he designed for us to live in was a garden. Mm-hmm. And out of everything that he could have designed, a house, a mansion, all these things, he designed a garden. And that has always intrigued me. It kind of set me in a place of wondering, like, wow, why a garden?
Right.
What was the purpose of the garden?
And I think one of the things that we always remember as well is that a garden requires a lot of your time. You have to invest in it. You have to give and maintain. Yes. Right. And that's something that even they mentioned in the Bible. It requires a level of maintenance, to oversee it, to make sure things are properly being watered or nutrients are there. And so there's a lot more to it than just throwing out some seeds and allowing them to grow and see what happens. Yeah.
And I love that just came up, God is the perfect gardener. He is the greatest gardener. Now, the second question I'd like to meditate on is, what are you willing to give to get there? What are you willing to give to get your garden in right standing, to get it to be perfected? What are you willing to give?
We have to realize that giving is a key.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Giving is a key to understanding our position.
Yes.
As sons and daughters of God.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So giving is the key. And I really want you guys to stay focused on giving. Okay. I love how our Father, when he built the garden, he made it so perfected that it came in to protect us. Right. He had a protection around it for us. And in that garden was everything that we needed. Right. Everything we needed to become everything that he needed us to become, right? So I love that, because the first thing that we see is that he's a giver, right? Our Father is a giver, and he right away starts setting us up for success. Right. He wants to make sure that we are successful in all things, right?
Absolutely.
And so our first thing that we're seeing is, one, again, the key to this is giving, right? He's a giver. As we are in the garden, right, he is providing everything that we need, every nutrient, every vitamin, everything that our bodies need. he is there to give it to us.
One of the things that I always use when we have conversation, when we reference what God actually gave, it's so detailed and so thorough that even today, there's nothing that we lack.
Exactly.
There's nothing on earth. If we talk about people that right now is what they label as a cold and flu season, right? But there's nothing that lacks that God hasn't already supplied for us to be complete. Nothing. Vitamin C, vitamin D, iron, magnesium, all these different minerals and vitamins are already there. They're present, and that shows the detail of what he did when he created. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I love that. I want you to remember that giving is not just limited to money. Giving comes through many faucets and are that are filtered through, right? We give our time, our talents, our wisdom, our advice. We give food, clothing, compassion, and other things. God gave a piece of heaven to earth so that his children would share the love that he had with us, right? He wanted to share the love connection with us. I love this quote. Dr. Miles Monroe once taught, Eden is a Hebrew word with 5 strokes: spot, moment, presence, and an open door, and a delightful place. I love that. Now I want you to hear this. So God took the man and put him in a spot for a moment where the presence of God was and an open door to heaven.
And that was a delightful place.
That was a delightful place. So Eden means a delightful place. It means a place of delight, a place of harmony, a place of where only goodness is, right? And so he set us in that place and gave us an open door to the kingdom, right? I love this because some of the things that we've been learning, Joey is actually a holistic doctor. He's a naturopathic doctor. And so he's been going to school for this, and he's learning all of this amazing things that we have to do, right? And he's been helping me get better. I know that a lot of you don't know, but a couple of years ago, I almost lost my life. And it's been a journey to get back, right? And he always would tell me, you need to rest. You need to get your body back in, a step away from things. You need to rest. You need to regain yourself and allow God to come in and heal you, right? And that's where we started understanding the garden, the garden experience, the garden within us, the garden that's outside that he provided for us, and how to connect to that garden. And this is where it's so awesome, is that everything that we have inside our body, right? Everything that we have inside of us, we can reconnect to the earth.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Because that is the creation of where we came from. So when we think about it, we talk about Eden, right? That's one of the main gardens that everybody knows
there was
about.
more gardens.
There was more gardens, but that word Eden, listening to so many different amazing teachers, it's very difficult to define, to pinpoint this name Eden. It has many different meanings, and it's not a physical location anymore.
No,
but
it's not.
It's more of a presence, right? So maybe that's a reason why Eden can't be found anywhere, because it's not a physical location, but it's like how Dr. Pepe says, like an ecosystem. Right? It's a development. My pops, Dr. Pepe, wrote an amazing book called Recreating Eden. And I love going through that and picking apart, because it details how in a scientific mind, because that's his mindset, how intricate and how detailed and how that system came together and how it functions and flows. And he teaches how we can recreate that for ourselves. And I think that's it sounds far-fetched, but something that's very simple to understand when you realize we were created from the dirt, the very organisms and nutrients and minerals that God placed before he created us. So There were everything there, right? Plants, herbs, they were there. They just hadn't produced yet. They hadn't grown. And the Bible said that water or a mist came up from the ground,
Yes.
and
Yes.
provided it until man was created. Once man was created, God designated him to be the maintainer.
Yes.
And so looking at that still today, we are responsible to maintain the garden within us, right? We have a lot of people that we wonder where sickness stems from.
Right.
We wonder how these things happen, and there are decisions and choices that we make of what we're putting into this soil.
Yeah.
Right. This is soil.
Yeah, we are soil.
And that's why I said it's very easy to understand when people are having sleeping problems. It doesn't mean that they need to get on sleeping pills. It means they're magnesium deficient.
Right.
And these are the things that we learn. And that's what makes the creation of God, the soil, the water, everything just so unique. It's awesome.
And the greatest thing is, it's so funny because sometimes you find your purpose through tragedy, right?
Yeah.
And it was this time that when I was sick, that he found his purpose. And it was solely to, one, get his whole family on board with getting healthy. And I really believe that a lot of times Christians, we take advantage of our bodies. And when I say that is we don't eat properly. We don't teach, we don't give people the proper teachings on how to really take care of ourselves. We're always running ourselves low, low, and then we're running ourselves to do things, and we're not taking time for ourselves. And that was one of the things that God finally said, stop, right? He was like, you need to stop. And this is something that you would help me with my garden inside of me. You were like, okay, we need to figure out all these things. What caused this sickness, right? What was taking place? Well, we have to go back to our bodies, the soil, to see what was being placed inside of us.
Those are traumas. Those are things that sometimes can happen to us, or things that take place through life that almost are like weeds in a garden.
Yeah,
they're planted there. They grow, and sometimes we don't catch them until they've already surfaced, and we realize, wow, why am I having problems with high blood pressure, or why am I struggling with these symptoms or that symptoms, and it really is knowing that there is a mismanagement of our body that's taking place someplace. And it doesn't mean like, shame on you, you should have done these things. What I'm referencing is that sometimes we press so hard on trying to find the essence or that sweet spot with God, right?
Yes.
And we identify and say, wow, now we're starting to understand with the kingdom, but it can quickly change into something that it's not intended. God didn't intend the kingdom to be made as another type of religion.
Exactly.
Right? Religion is a box, and that's where human nature categorizes things. Right. Our garden is so organic and unique. It doesn't go into a box.
No, it doesn't.
It's a unique, we are a unique creation. And knowing our body type is so amazing because everybody's different. Right. I've had a few conversations in the past with Dr. Pepe, and just learning about the things that he's gained and what's beneficial for his body. Right. But they may not be beneficial to my body because his garden is not the same layout as mine. Exactly.
Our gardens are unique to us. And this is where I love, somebody just posted earlier that we have to evaluate our soil. We do. We got to do a soil evaluation. We got to check and see what is taking place in this garden. Everything that was in the garden, right? How the layout of the garden, how God designed the garden is inside of us. Everything is inside of us. What is so beautiful that even our heart, right? We were learning that even our heart is formed with the four ventricles
Right.
that are, signifies the 4 rivers. And so everything inside of us, because we were the seed in the garden, right? We were the seed in the garden, and everything. And I like what you said, that everything is organic for us, right? Everything is, our individual bodies all have certain things, right, that we got to go in and reevaluate. And so the reevaluation that took place, good morning, Mr. Timothy. We thank you for joining us. The great thing is that we as kingdom citizens need to start living the lifestyle of health, right? Mm-hmm. Health is wealth, right? Mm-hmm. And I see what was taking place with us in our community here in Denver. We were seeing that a lot of the pastors here were very sick in their bodies, right? We're very sick in their bodies. And it's because we get out of, we would leave church and then we would go and eat, and we put things in our bodies because we didn't have time to go home and make a home cooked meal. So we were eating things that were not healthy for us, right? And it took a toll. It took a toll on my body with all the nutrients that I was lacking that caused me to get sick. And I want you to stay with us because this is the garden. Yes, right. Health is wealth. Yep. And it is God's divine original intention. You're right, Timothy. It is the original intention. And this is something, as kingdom citizens, I'm still on my journey, right?
We all are.
We're on a journey.
We all are. And that's it's a maintenance. We have to maintain, you have to maintain the garden that is within you, because just like a regular garden, if you just throw seeds out and throw water whenever you feel like it or whenever you remember, you may produce fruit, but you're not going to produce the good fruit. Yes. That you could if you had taken time to till the soil, make sure that there's the right nutrients. And that's where it can become, in a lot of people's minds, very, very complicated. Yes. Right. I can't take a mango seed from Trinidad and Tobago, which is delicious, the best ever. I can't take a mango seed from Trinidad and Tobago and plant it here in Colorado. Why? Because the soil and the nutrients that are in the soil in Trinidad and Tobago,
and the atmosphere
and the type of weather that they get and the amount of sunshine they get, I could try to bring it here, but I couldn't do it naturally. Right. It's not made for this climate. And that's where our bodies are. We live at a very high climate. Yes. So when we go to sea level, we have so much energy. We have all this energy and we want to just go. We took a trip to Hawaii, right? And when we went to Hawaii, this is a long time ago, we just weren't tired. No. We had a hard time falling asleep because our body was so used to the high altitude and the low amount of oxygen that when we get to sea level, our oxygen level went through the roof. And all of a sudden we've got all this oxygen, right, that's going into our garden, and we're feeling energized and we're feeling amazing. Yes. And that's the same way it is with all of us on a daily basis. Sometimes we can get so single-mindedly focused on one area of trying to get closer to God, right? Like we just hone in only on fasting, or we hone in only on whatever it is, anything that you're talking, anything that you can think of trying to draw closer to God. But there's a very complex yet easy process. And that's knowing your body and listening to your body. Yes. That's the one thing I told you. You have to listen to your body and know, just like the garden, it starts to show, when leaves are starting to burn or things like that. Hey, we may need to throw a little plastic up to shade the sun because there's too much sun, right? And so that's the same way. Or here in Colorado, we have to cover our plants with blankets. Absolutely. So that, yes, Dr. Anita Phillips, The Garden Within. I love her. And I love that he posted that, because Dr. Anita has been somebody that has really revolutionized our whole outlook on
on the garden that's inside of us.
Yeah.
And I love her. She really focuses in on emotions. And we're focusing in on the health part of the garden inside of us.
Well,
right?
because health and emotions
Yes.
really do tie in together. I do prevention work at the biggest public school in our state, and a lot of what we deal with is nutrient deficient students.
Yes.
And then we wonder why there's a lack of attention, or testing progress is lower.
Right.
And that's a lot has to do with the nutrients. We have a lot of kids that walk around with these bags of hot fries and all these things, but nothing that's nutrient dense, nothing that can really help feed and neutralize the body so it can receive information,
yes,
process it better. And then you add traumas into it, or you add life issues.
Yes.
It makes it more difficult for us to begin to try and process.
So, the garden that God created was the first temple, right? That he created for us. It was the perfect temple. And isn't it funny that we are the temple, right? We are the temple, guys. We are, everything inside of us is here. We are the temple of God. And he relocated Eden into our hearts, right? And this is, I love that our heart, right? Everything inside of us is designed exactly in the blueprint of what the garden was in Eden. Our whole bodies shows that, from, and I love this because Dr. Anita did share that, where she was talking about, I believe it was the neutrons and stuff that are inside of us, the seedlings and things, right? And how they look exactly like our, how do they say, our nervous system looks exactly like a seedling when it comes up.
Well, and I think it's amazing too, because one of the simplistic things that God did when he created, everything was a purpose.
Yes.
So we see, I can look outside my window right now and see a tree that's went into hibernation because it's wintertime here, something that doesn't happen in tropical places. But what I see when we look out the window is branches and limbs, because there's no leaves. Right. But you can take that and look inwardly and also see the organs, right? The muscle tissues, the blueprint inwardly. And it's an expression. It's all God's greatness that just shows, he shows off. He shows off. He shows off how amazing and wonderful he created everything for us. And I think that's where that garden essence comes in, because every person is so unique and different. We don't need to compare. And we still have people that try to compete, right? We have to try to be like this person or be like that person. And God's saying, no, I made you organic. You're unique. There's something completely different about you. Nobody else has the garden that you have.
Right.
And that to me is,
isn't that wonderful that we all have these individual gardens? And I love what you're talking about, our trees that we're seeing right now. They are in hibernation. They're dormant, right? They look like they're dead, right? But that's when the greatest growth comes.
That's where the roots go.
And that's when the roots become the strongest, is during our winter seasons. And as our trees, right, as the tree really shows us, right, how we are to live, right? I love a tree because the tree carries so much inside of it, right? It tells a story of their life. You can cut a tree, in New Mexico, my mother's father was they called him a logger. And what he did was, he would cut trees down and so forth. But he said every tree was unique to itself, and every tree told a story.
Well, it had the rings like a fingerprint.
Like a fingerprint.
It was unique.
And so every tree was unique, and every tree has a story, and every tree has a purpose, right? That seed that was in there was for a purpose. We have seeds in us, right? And as I was through my healing journey, and I still am, they had told me, a doctor had said this, that I have a lot of thyroid issues and all these things.
Failures. There was a lot of
failures.
different things that were failing.
I had my heart was failing. My kidneys were failing. There was so much failing that was taking place.
But we knew that God doesn't fail.
Right. God doesn't fail.
And that's the point of when the report came across, and we sat down, and I told her, this is ridiculous. Like this is not what's happening to you. What's happening to you is your body went through a process due to traumas, and things that took place, and we didn't catch it. And now we need to figure out how to reverse. Right. So anything that we come across, like I said at the beginning, anything that we come across can be reversed. It can be reversed, but you have to know your body.
Yes.
You have to know what the body needs. What is the body desiring? What is the same way that a garden, you look at somebody that is a professional gardener, they can look at a garden, they can grab the soil, take a pinch and look at it and say, you're missing this. You need some nitrates. You need some oxygen to go into the soil to bring it to life. Different things like that. And that's the same with our body. That's how we're wired. That's how God created us.
The garden is such a unique place that each of us have an individual garden that we have to take care of and we have to maintain. That is our management of this body, right? Our temple, the garden that's inside of us. We are responsible for that. And I know that there's a lot of people. I was not, one thing that we came in agreement was with the doctors wanted to put me on all this medication. And we said, no, I am not one of those people that are going to live on prescription medications. I won't do that. And
I'm very cautious,
right,
when people come to us and ask us about that, and they're already on high blood pressure meds or something like that. We never say, well, just stop taking it and we'll do this. There's a system to everything.
Yes.
There's a system to everything. There's a transition. Everything has to transition.
Yes.
And to allow your body to slowly release the medication and embrace the natural way that will feed that supplement. It's a healthy way to do it. So I'm not saying if somebody's on medication or anything to just stop. What we did is we evaluated. We said, okay, what can we start?
We adjusted our life.
What can we start weaning? What can we start incorporating? And slowly cut back and see how you feel. And then it was a process, right?
And it's because we are seeing again in this generation how, and I don't want to get red flagged for this, but I want you guys to know that big pharma is a place where they're making thousands and thousands of dollars on our bodies, right? And saying we need this, we need that. But our God, right? Our King, he gave us absolutely everything that we need to be able to focus and to be healthy. Right. Everything inside of us, everything is here. Our success story is inside of us already. Our health story is inside of us already. Our purpose is inside of us already. Everything from the time of conception is already inside of us. And so we just got to do some work. And I really believe that as Christians, we are, as a group of Christians, I would say, majority of all the Christians that we know have some kind of sickness. And why is that? It's because we're stuck. We're stuck in a place of not thinking outside the box, right? Religion really kept a lot of people inside a box and saying, well, if you're holistic, that is new age and you shouldn't be doing that. And we're far from that, guys. Right. We really got to get back to the original, blueprint of how God designed us and what we got to put in.
I was sharing yesterday that I have a list of minerals and stuff, and I was sharing with my wife how amazing when God created before we were created. When God created these things, they were already existent in the ground.
Yes.
They were in the soil. And then he made us. And the final touch was to breathe his breath into our body. And one of the things that we always fail to remember is that oxygen is essential, even for a garden.
Yes.
Oxygen is essential for the growth of healthy fruit and vegetables. The same thing for us. A lot of times, especially us being at a higher climate, remembering that breathing techniques are super essential, especially when you're dealing with things throughout the day or things aren't going right. Let's say you're just having a bad day and things are happening at work or whatever's going on. Taking time to do breathing techniques will help realign your body, bring the right oxygen back into your body, lower your stress levels so that you can focus and move forward with the rest of your day. But the garden is that ingredient. I mean, we look at the garden and it seems like it could be such an easy thing to cover, but it's so detailed. When God did this, it's so detailed because every photon of light.
Oh, I love this.
Is
what is a photon?
Well, it's like an atom that makes light.
Yes.
It's essential for the growth of the garden. It's the same with us. Everything that we're surrounded around is a benefit because it was created for us.
Yes.
And people have to understand when God did these things, it was the extension of his DNA to us. He said, "You are me."
Oh, yeah. I love that. You know, we are created in his image, guys. We are created with everything that is essential. You know, we were back to the tree again. You know, trees are essential, and we've seen them in the garden. The tree of life. And one of the things that here in Colorado, we get a lot of winds, especially during January and February. Wow, it's some of the windiest times here. And a tree, actually, I was sharing this with you. I said the tree actually, trees are needing of the wind. And why is that? That kind of stuck. And I was like, why would the wind make a tree stronger? And this is why. A tree, and that's why I said we can learn so much. We are like trees, right? And a tree, when it's moving back and forth, it's actually stretching. It's actually reaching. Right? It's being forced to stretch. It's being forced to reach, which causes it to be stronger. So the limbs are actually stronger. They're not weak. They're not breaking. The weak ones break, but the tree is in stretch motion. And the importance of us stretching in our bodies, right? Stretching is crucial. That's why when you get a little tiny baby and you hold a baby when they're born and they do that really cute little pose where they're arched back and they stretch, or when they wake up, that's the first thing that you see them do is stretching. It's because that is inside of us. We got to stretch and move to be able to become stronger, right? It's vital for us. And so we are learning all these things from the garden, right? All the importance of the garden and what we need to be able to be healthy here on earth. And everything in the garden, every mineral, everything that we need, it was inside of us. Now we got to bring it back because God made us so unique. You know, he mentions everything that was in the soil that's inside of us, right? And so we got to go back into the garden, right? And it's so awesome is that the garden within us is a replica of God's kingdom, right? It's a replica. Right. You know, everything that we have is, you know, God didn't create sickness, right? Everything that's in the kingdom is here for us on earth. But we have to tap into that because I think that we've been so stuck in a box mentality of religion, right? That we think everything is wrong, right? Oh, we can't do that because, like I said, that's New Age, or we can't do that because it's wrong. But we got to get back to understanding that God created us first with specific things that our body needs. And we need to start really planting our gardens to help us in different regions. Being intentional. Right, being intentional, because different regions, you know, we live in Colorado. Some of you guys are probably in Florida. I know that Victoria, I love you so much, and she's in Spain. And
Oh, I
then,
wanna go there.
I
I wanna go
know.
there.
And then, you know, Veronique is now in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And so where every place that we are at, right, we're there, and God planted us there for a reason. So we got to find those things that are growing abundantly in those regions to put inside of us, right? Even though, like with Queen Veronique, she's a transplant in she's transplanting her garden into a Texan soil now,
And that's an adaptation.
and right,
she'll have to adapt.
She's
to the
going to
culture.
have to adapt to the culture. She's going to have to adapt to what is there, because now her body, right, is being transplanted into a different type of soil, right? So we got to remember that wherever we go, we are transplanting our garden, and now we got to focus on, okay, this environment, the atmosphere that we're living in now, what am I going to need, right? I don't know if I know that Texas, I don't think has a lot of humidity, does it? I don't think so.
I think it does.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. In Colorado, it's super dry.
We have zero humidity.
So there's a lot of water that we're intaking and a lot of things that we're intaking. But what we're learning is water is essential for us, right? But if you're not putting the proper things in water, then all you're doing is just putting water and it's going out of your body. And so, she's in Dallas. Okay, perfect. And so what we're learning is even salt is essential.
Absolutely.
Right? Salt is essential.
Well, and there's certain kinds, right?
Right. And I'm going to let you explain.
No. We don't need to get into it, but I mean, salt is essential.
Yes.
Not the iodized salt.
No.
That we know.
No.
Not the
bad table salt.
Not the table salt. We're talking about a magnesium salt.
Yes, right? Celtic salt.
Celtic salt. Essential.
Yes.
Very essential. The same way that salt for our oceans and seas are essential.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not for us to drink.
Right, but for our bodies.
For the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we are just super excited. I do have some Celtic salt, and I want to share with you guys. and the importance of it, right? I want to teach you guys something, because this is something that has been vital for us. And it's really understanding that, we can be watered in the garden, but sometimes too much water is going to kill us off, right? Because we'll drown in it, and our plants will drown in it, right? If you put too much. But with this Celtic salt, if you just take a little pinch and put it under your tongue, and every day, and then you drink your water, now the molecules are going into your system, and the molecules in our bodies are absorbing the moisture that it needs. And in Colorado, there's so many people that we always say we're dry like raisins out here, right? Because there's no humidity. But doing these little things, right, we'll understand that our soil will become abundant. Right. And so it's really finding your garden inside. So my question at the beginning was, what are you willing to do to make your garden? What does your garden look like out there? What is your garden looking like? Ours is really getting healthy. That's our goal, is to really get healthy physically in our bodies. Our grandchildren are understanding the importance of eating right. We're sharing, that is a legacy that we're sharing, is really taking root and saying, we are implementing all the vital things that God has given us and producing it, because we are seeing, and you said something about the school systems, all of our kids work in all of them work with children. And, some of my kids are in law enforcement as well. And you do a type of law enforcement as well. But what we're finding is that all these kids with ADD and all these things that are taking place in their garden is due to all the stuff that we're allowing our children to eat.
And the pandemic essentially put a lot of our families into a really rough mental health spiral. Right. And again, that's a separate conversation. Right. But it's super important to remember the garden speaks. and it tells us what we need. And
Yes.
when we need it, we have to stay connected to that and know and respond when the garden is telling us that we're needing something, if it's rest, if it's oxygen. And an unmaintained garden grows weeds, and weeds will destroy any harvest.
Right. So. Yeah, it'll suffocate it. It'll suffocate our bodies. And so we are really on a journey of health. Health is wealth. And we are on this journey as a family to get our lives and our garden in the right place. And we would love to share more with you later on with everything that you are learning in school and how we're implementing it into our gardens, and how our gardens function. I do want to endorse that amazing book by Dr. Anita Phillips. It is The Garden Within. And she does give you a beautiful analogy of how our
body
emotions, our emotions are vital, right?
It's wired.
And we're seeing mental health here. I mean, Colorado we're known for a lot of mental health issues, and we're seeing it in our children. But we got to get to a place, ambassadors. We got to get there to a place of not being so afraid to get out there and teach our communities the importance of eating right and the importance of being, transforming our communities. And that's where we're at. We always say we're more effective in the street than anywhere. We love being with people. And that's where our heart is being with people and, sharing what we know, sharing the kingdom with them, being the kingdom, right? That's what we do. But I really want you guys to know that please join us. And I think that when we are, you started your own vitamin company kind of thing that he's putting together. It's called Vida. Vida is life. And he is actually in the process of making amazing little shot drinks that we are taking, that he's putting together.
It's a turmeric, ginger, cayenne pepper mix. Yes. And that's a booster for many things.
Right. So we're in the process of really doing this. And it's so funny because my immune system right now has been a little bit shaky, but that's because like Victoria said, you're detoxifying, and that's exactly what's taking place. I'm going through a detox of getting my body where it needs to be.
Sickness is not meant for us. God didn't create sickness for us.
No, he didn't.
Sickness is a neglect of whatever our garden is telling us, right? Sometimes we get so pressed with running around and doing meetings and different things that we forget to tend to ourselves. And that's important. You have to make sure that you're tending to your garden and meeting the needs and listening to what it's saying you need. Rest or anything else.
And the funny thing is that your body does tell you, your garden does tell you what it's lacking. Absolutely. It'll show up in you and it'll tell you this is what's taking place and this is what's lacking. But I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come on and share just a little bit about what is taking place. We will continue on for the next, I believe, the next 2 Tuesdays left in this month. Continue. I will continue.
I was only here to help her because
I told him my throat, I didn't know if I was going to lose my voice. And I was like, oh no. But he was here to help. But I think that one of the things that we really want to do is equip you out there to really get our bodies in order, right? It's vital. We can't do anything with the sick body, right? We can't. And so we got to get better. We got to.
And how do we learn? We learn by educating ourselves, learning by bringing the right people into the right atmosphere to help expose things that our government system doesn't want us to know about. And these are the things that I think are they're necessary because my government system functions and flows way stronger than any other government
Than any
system
earthly government.
in this world.
Yeah.
And I know that God created us and helped us and provided for us everything we need to live a long, healthy, joyful, loving life.
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
So thank you so much. We love you guys, and we'll look forward to talking next week. I have some more awesome things that God is sharing. But we are going to start stomping some grounds and stepping on some toes on some religious folk. And it's time that we start moving into what God really had for us.
And thank you for allowing me to sit in with my beautiful wife.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you next week.